All right, we'll start with praise to Manjushri. Since there is a problem with, is it?
No, it's sorry, it's
the Heart Sutra?
Yeah. That's right.
All right.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. Manjushri will forgive you, I reckon. Shout to the Arya Triple Gem that is from here at one time, while one was dwelling on Masavaja's mountain in Rajgir, together with a very great community of monks and a great community of Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Lord was absorbed in the concentration, the categories of the non-Lord around this. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Mahasaka Arya the very practice of profound perfection of wisdom, and beheld those five aggregates also as entity of inherent nature. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shalaputra said this to the Bodhisattva. How should any son of the lineage train who wishes to practice the activity of profound perfection of wisdom? He said that the Bodhisattva Mahasaka Arya said this to the Venerable Shalaputra. Shalaputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom, to look upon like this correctly and repeatedly beholding those five aggregates also as an empty inherent nature. Form means empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form is also not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composition of factors, and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, likewise, all phenomena are emptiness without characteristics. Unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stains, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shariputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composition of factors, no consciousness. No eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no odor, no taste, no object of touch, no phenomenon. There is no I element in the soul, including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on, actually including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering, origination, cessation, and path. There is no result of wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shariputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely on the dwelling the perfection of wisdom, the mind without separation and without fear. Having completely passed beyond error, they reach the end point of nirvana. All the Buddhas who dwell in the three times also manifestly completely awakened to the unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in realizing the perfection of wisdom. Therefore, the measure of the perfection of wisdom, the measure of the great knowledge, the unsurpassed, equal to the unequal, the measure of the thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as truth, since it is not false. The measure of the perfection of wisdom is declared. Tayaka Om Kate Kate Paragate Parasangrate Bodhisattva. Shariputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasaka should train in the fine perfection of wisdom like that. Then Bhagavan rose from that concentration and commended the Bodhisattva Mahasaka Arya saying, well said, son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound perfection of wisdom just as rapidly as the lineage of others rejoice. The Bhagavan having thus spoken, the Venerable Shalaputra, Bodhisattva Mahasaka Arya Avalokiteshvara, and those surrounding their entirety along the world of gods, humans, asuras, and many others were overjoyed and highly praised as spoken by the Bhagavan. I prostrate to the gathering of the deities in the three chakras who abide in the holy yoga breathing space. By your powers of clairvoyance and magical emanation, look after practitioners like a mother and child. Tayaka Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasangate Buddhis.
By the teachings of the three supreme jewels possessing the power of truth, may inner and outer influences be transformed, may they be expelled, may they be pacified. Tsultrim glorious. May all negative forces opposed to Dharma be completely pacified. May the host of being causing obstacles be pacified.
May we be separated from problems and harmful conditions to Dharma. May all enjoyments be in accord with the Dharma.
And may there be auspiciousness and perfect happiness here right now.
Sangi Chedang Dagi Chusi Jibin Sonum Ji Drola Beshe Sangi Chukora Shu Sangi Chedang Soji Chunga Chanchu Kwati Dagi Chusi Jibin Sonum Ji Drola Beshe Sangi Chukora Shu Sanji Chögan Soji Chonam La Changshu Pardu Dami Tersu Dagi Chushi Gibi Chonam Gi Droga Sanji Chögara Shu Kangi Tuzi Nizoni Tawa Tamji Pambi Chere Tambi Chunu Tenze Kodam Jela Chanze Lo. Good morning.
So we are going to continue with covering chapter number 2. The section that we're going to pick up from today is, stay tuned, a second, all right, is homage, right? So we've covered a section on offering. Today we're going to begin with point 2, homage.
아니 차만 세바이나 아니 경술인 거였는데 라니래야다 경인 거라서 그거치 그 색이래야 그거치 맞도바이나 아니 율래야 캐바스키야 말되네 소수문이 너도여라서 디난신도 그래.
So we are studying the section of paying homage. The word for that in Tibetan is chaksel, which also means to prostrate. So normally we think of prostrating only with a body, but in a way that it is expressed in Tibetan language, then you pay homage with your body, speech, and mind, beginning with your body. So you pay homage in that way to all objects that are worthy of homage. If you don't pay homage to those objects that do deserve respect, if you're not respecting those who are worthy of being respected, then you yourself are accruing a fault. So if we don't have the sense of respect to those objects that are worthy of being respected, it's not that it matters to the objects. It's not that they will stand to lose something. It is rather that if we do not show a sense of respect to those objects that are worthy of being respected, then we ourselves will accrue a certain fault.
Genjun Korum di Sanji Dui Koranolaya and Dui Shon Koranaya. Genjun Korum Yaris. Genjun Penata Getsul Yimbaina and Gelonaya and Kubachikoya. Gelonaya Kubamachina Rang Gigi Labalaya and Nirduela Zavi Tembi Jebadayan Gadrovores. Jinashinki that's Gelon Mampenzo in the Yako. Korum yoba shizongi, temata to terceri ba chawo songi, ani korum yoba shizongi, tin drama tu ba na, ani so big tembi cheba den gadu yor mata, pigi me shambala ya, kebas ke sogo maras, dinan shingi, ra, tichi dige, penan duwe shono nola ya, tanda, reta din mambo oris ra, dati sama shuko samare.
So one has to be respectful of things that are worthy of being respected. Like, for example, when you look at how it is addressed in the Vinaya section of the teachings, the rules of the Vinaya decree that if you take ordination, then you should be respectful of those holding a higher level of ordination. Like, for example, if you're a novice, a Getsul, then you should have that sense of respect to gelongs, to the fully ordained. Otherwise, it's not that kind of it matters to those who are fully ordained, but otherwise you'd be undermining your own training, in a sense that once you become ordained, there are certain precepts or trainings that you take up, and if you do not take up that mode of conduct, for example, being respectful, then you're violating your own training, and therefore you yourself will accrue a fault. Actually, within that tradition of the Vinaya, it said that you should be respectful to those that have been ordained before you. In a sense that they speak about a sun. Do you call it a sundial? Yes. The movement of a sundial. So if there's someone that has ordained before you, even kind of there was just a slight movement in the sundial, still you should have that sense of respect even for that person.
When the child said, Nag Teba Jabatan, Lukin Tumba was, Tambo Nag Teba Jabani, Nag on the Chalsawa, and Nag on the Chalsawa, so deep, and Piggy Chasas a Yulia, Teba Jabadi, Nag on the Chalsayati. Chago the Tambonis, the Yunde Jamson Namada, the Yanga Jamsu, the Intin Tedala, never con the joint churches.
So looking at the section of paying homage, there are a couple of points in that section. There is verbally expressing homage and then physically prostrating with a few sections in that. Let's look at the commentary. So prostration, so paying homage, verbal praise, and physical homage.
So long.
Then the root verse says, I eulogize a notion of qualities with a notion of limbs and melodious hymns. These clouds of melodious praises to hear, may they without fail arise everywhere.
Tirta yonde jamsu nam slaund the chidan jeve namaya chidan yongu da dendere da yonde jamsu slaund yonde jamsu di penata kyonku se yonde kundi sanji phabata da yonde jamsu kuy yonde jamsu songi yonde jamsu tugu yonde jamsu kanji ani kyonku se yonde kundi inza da yonde jamsu roas da dida jistuba ani chi and Sunday Chanchu Sembala Soba, Niranda Soba, 아니 라마 기비신이나 소버티타 젤로야 딱 상기된 데비 고순투도 연데 장수다고 연자 두주 비길이야 아니 샘라 템비토니 아니 나고니 저치니 아니 데버디 다 나기차레스로
This verse mentions those that have an ocean of qualities. It says, I eulogize an ocean of qualities, like, for example, an Arya Buddha that has exhausted all faults, eliminated all faults, and has developed all perfect qualities. They have those perfect qualities of body, speech, and mind. So not only we praise or we pay homage to those qualities, but also to qualities of bodhisattvas abiding on the grounds, to hearers and so to realizers, to lamas, to virtuous friends, and so forth. Through calling the good qualities to mind, we pay homage to them with our speech. This is a verbal homage.
Developers design Kemba Zevalus of Yundi, Janzon Nanga, Dagi, Yundin, Taiba Jibi, Toyangi Yanga, Jamsu Tobergios, Yang Nailas, the Nani Naila, Yalan di Judan, Jamsun, Mambutati, Lujeri, Yang go Paul de Mabata, go Regelia, Che Paul de Mabamuni, Devos, that Devicalia, Suzurani, Devicalia, and the Suzuchi Borders Casota. 아니 루치 아니 카치 제치 그거는 지 job 따고 마인바 아니 지 루탐에 봐 아니 소소래야 루탐에 봐 여버지 루 때다냐비 지금 고야 탐에 봐지 고 때다냐비 따지 아니 카레 아니 드니야 지 아니 조야데 탐에 봐 저거 여버 딘지 지 매치니 아니 때바이나 아니 The
commentary says, this ocean of qualities of knowledge, love, and so forth are eulogized with an ocean of melodious hymns that express infinite qualities. Hymns refers to words, limbs refer to the cause, and ocean means many. Carry out the praise by visualizing every body with many heads and every head with many tongues. Further, even though oneself does not make a praise to the great number of superiors, may infinite clouds reach them without failing place in time. So we don't just think of praising them with ourselves having only one body, one head, only one mouth. We visualize that we have countless bodies, having countless heads, countless mouths, and with all of them, we eulogize, we praise the good qualities.
Yang Pabin so Tedala, Doyan Daki, Machike, Mingiti, Taibangi body, Losai, Kunjo Jujis. Niba Lugin Dumbala Sum, Kunjo Sum, the Chanju is same Kibi, she saw the candles of the Chansa was.
As it says further, even though oneself does not make praises to the great number of superiors, may infinite clouds reach them without fail in place and time. So we've covered the first section of paying homage, verbal praise, verbal homage. Now we're going to look at physical homage. Now there are 3 points in that section. We're going to pay physical homage to the triple gem, to the basis for generating bodhicitta, and to abbots, preceptors, and so forth. Let's begin with making physical homage or bowing down to the triple gem.
캔로소가 찬사 담분이 담복 군조스나 찬사와니 땅간주 아니 이제 차사자기 율조디 잠니 군조스 다이마디 남바시 킹그로 와서라 간주 간스나다 겹수 로고사기 율조디 군조스 차고레스 아니 겹수 로고사기 율 군조스 뭐 마사마데 텔레야 겹수 좀 마시바이나 아니 겹조 생인디에 yunguyo maros. Camdrum mayona, any nambi chekoranaya. Nambi chekoranaya, suyo maros. Namba in the ming sansum so the and Camdrugonisha. Shagoros, ra.
The main objects of refuge here are the three jewels. So we need to go for refuge to the three jewels. If we do not identify what the three jewels are, if we do not go for refuge to them, we will not have refuge in our mind stream. And without refuge, we will not be regarded as those who have entered into the ranks of Buddhists. After all, you could say that the dividing line between being Buddhist and not being Buddhist is refuge.
Nambi Nanshu Yamlink Zuya Shuondi Labasum Kitonta Yamni Chigoenza and Labasum sitting Tsultrim Laba Yonyalaya so the and Camdro Govioras Ra and Camdro Mena the Dombal in Tuyo Maris, Dombakio Maris, Dombaki Shilaya, Camdruko. Nambi Telia Subala, Camdruko. Kanji, and Tawa the Tamjin can be combined to a shit tartubody, and Camdru Chagores. Tinza, Camdru di Camsundrosa, Kunjosum Prince. Tinza, and Kunjosum Mashna, and Nan Chuchiagi, Shitsado the Tadru. But didn't Chag was raw.
Now, the Buddhist system is based on the practice of the three trainings. And we start with a basic training of ethical discipline. And for this training, one needs to go for refuge. Without going for refuge, there would be no basis for a vow, in the sense that vows would not be generated in your mind stream without going for refuge. So we need refuge for vows, for training in ethical discipline, for being regarded as Buddhist, for finally attaining the state of omniscience, the state of Buddha. All of them are based on refuge. So therefore, without recognizing what the three jewels are, there would be no basis for your Buddhist practice.
Jimita ila tego gores kunjosu ila matena ani lama gomishing mares tanganzu lama slide shuch chitang shuch pigita sangi gita jiku kunjo song sonso de so zawi lama chagor de ne ani shi pigi kunjosu gi samlo mena ani lama singi dita means amado tenaya and Lama Gumshingio Maros. These are Casso, the Gamdri Lavja Koranamolaya, Chisi Puncho out Chobopers. The Chobopoya, Lunga Yusung Choba, Kazishionaji, the Yungioras. These are and he gave you Kunjosum Musing Guerdi and the kitchen was shoot, the kitchen was shoot race.
So we need to recollect the three jewels. We need to be mindful of the three objects of refuge. Without doing that, there would be no basis for meditating on the Lama. In that, where we meditate on the Lama, we take them to be the representative of the enlightened qualities of body, speech, and mind. And yet the basis for that is the refuge in the three jewels, without which there would be no guru meditation. So we become mindful of the Lama. We think that in all our activities, we're going to make offerings of body, speech, and mind, and so forth. That hinges on recognizing and identifying the three jewels. It is an essential, crucial point.
Any conjusum muslim ton, conjusum camdro senti, conjusum sentini, any and each logic go yours. That D year the meti, 당한수 이체다 레와자사기 냐치디 아니 군주숨 차고레스 다 딘지 로지 여다메디 당한수 수수수 로레야 고토마지와 손자 랑로랑레야 고토마지와 손나 신기 디 고토마지와 손자 가츠스기 군주숨레야 이치치도 아니 꺄수 조기여메디 수수수레야 수칼롱 직대와이나 하고로 와서라 먼저 추즈니 시sab시 링레야 아니 군조티 샘나레 가츠스 젠토도 군조숨디 라 산지치 겐두숨디 먼저 샘나레 가츠스 젠토도 직상로 땅다 아니 디 갑콜레야 추즈니 시sab시리레야 자와니니 비 군조숨레야 직상로도 코르메나다 아니 꺄म्रो 야보다 파샤는 꺄म्रो 여다메세 간이야 레야기 닝가도 와서라 진짜 가두기 다 지금 아주 개체슈 지금 뒤쪽이 가츠거서디 칼라 뒤숨 사이 뒤저들 찍어라 이제 뒤쪽 개체슈 될이야 이 칼라를 참아대 봐 담보 꾼조 된 거야 돼 개체물이 소야 돼 냉가지도 와서라
So we identify the objects of refuge. We go for refuge, and this going for refuge needs to be heartfelt. From the bottom of our heart, we go for refuge in having that heartfelt trust in the three objects of refuge. And when we trust them, we also have some hopes. We trust, we hope, we have some aspiration with respect to the three jewels. So we can assess in our mind to what degree we trust the objects of refuge, we recollect the objects of refuge. After all, our mind is not hidden to us. It might be hidden to others, but it is certainly not hidden to us. So we can look at our own mind and assess how much do we trust the three objects of refuge. Like, for example, within a span of 24 hours, how many times, how long do we recollect the three objects of refuge? Do we think about them regularly? Are there days in which not even once do we think of the three objects of refuge? If we find that there are days, 24 hours, in which we haven't even thought of the three objects of refuge, then there is a danger here that we actually haven't gone for refuge, that we don't have refuge in our mind stream. So our mind is not hidden to us. We can look at our own mind and assess our current state. And at the very least, in terms of recollecting the three objects of refuge, for example, we eat food 3 times a day. And without a sense of attachment, first off, we make food offerings in calling to mind the objects of refuge.
아니 변화자치 표고 준비했더니 아니 사실 심발에 이기랬어요. 아니 쇼기야 나왔다. 지금 주다 아니 공부도 좀 인디어스. 쇼기야 나왔다. 비기라야 차선 세고야. 군주선이야 차선 세고. 군주선이야 차치를 가둘라야 아니 같좀 되게 말았어. 칸이 아니 잠도지 된 거리. 아니 삼라야 아니 그 칸이 디슈치 못던 건데 샘라야 디 된다지 그 네버드 비길이야 디톱진 제인 거라스 아니 리우고니 차선 세원이 아니 그 한번에 아니 군조선 배 릉아 있음 돈 군조선이야 그거지 로고도 왔어 건담만 이디나 차선도 많지는 얘나 답에 아니 지금 만상기로지 로 소소에 공식이 여바나 여나 딘디시 차고 그랬어 로
So in Tibet, for example, and not only in Tibet, it is likely that such things have developed in other Buddhist places as well. As soon as you wake up in the morning, for example, you offer 3 prostrations. It's not that you just move your body, but also it's not that your mouth is completely shut. As you make prostrations, you recite the verse for going for refuge. And if you do that, then also your mind attains to refuge in the 3 jewels. So in that sense, with your body, speech, and mind, right from the very get-go, when you wake up in the morning, you pay homage to the three jewels. And similarly, when you go to sleep, just before going to bed, you again offer three prostrations. And when you get used to doing that, when you develop that routine, if you miss out on that, it feels that your night routine is incomplete.
들다 차츠요 거들이다 지 아니 자와당 좀만 지금바이나 안 소주기 비기 다지야 부지 괜찮 그셔도 뎀비토니 아니 군주성이야 차 피투바이나 야고베도 왔으라 먼저 깝걸이야 수수샤나로라야 아니 차츠요디기 아니 셈마고인교도 장가마고인교도 다 가시다 장가 기침 쓰고 말아 마고인교도 어디지 차바이나 다 90매 유지 먼저 공부하는 용치니 셈마고 장가마고 차츠는 다 세고 말아서 가서 미지기 라우리에 삼성로지 다디 된다 정말 돈은 지든 취지에서 그렇지거든 아 수샤나로에 가져마지 90매 채운디 그따다 지금은 더스러
No, there's a problem with YouTube, so I'm recording it, and we'll upload it to YouTube later on. I'm not sure that the problem is with YouTube. It's maybe the account or something is not working. Anyway, Geshe said that also, if you're a monk or a nun, then when you're making prostrations, if you wear your robes well, that's very good, which means that as you offer prostrations, you should be dressed, wearing your tonka, your zen, and so forth. Some people consider that to be important when you go out, but not that important when you are at home. So you might be doing prostrations without wearing your tonka, without a zen. In the monastery, Geshe says that kind of you fear being criticized by others. Maybe it's motivated by the 8 worldly concerns, but you develop that habit of wearing your robes properly when you do prostrations.
장비는 나란 삼선 딘저지 나란들이 차게 쓰라 니 삼선 나랑을 게임 받디 니 다가스 다지 자진 되려면 대진 시행메드 쓰라 나랑을 게임 하고 됐지 아니 그 90 찬상지 아니 미 만동살이야 아직 아니 수수기 미 만동살이야 지 야구 제투나 아니 메인 되는 들리지 제투가 왔어라.
I guess that says that in expressing that, he also sees faults in his own behavior. It's not that in expressing that our presence is completely free from such faults. So you can recognize also his own faults. So it is that if you can train yourself to act well, to act in a wholesome way, even when others do not see you, then even more so, you will be acting well at the presence of others when they do see you.
데리다 메게지마이나 고차스요 가들라야 수수 두로 가르 건구여바이나야 두로 데피 90대 데미토니 그행 찍다 여러 왔으라.
And also for you guys, lay practitioners, also when you pay homage, when you do prostrations, then you can also look at whatever you wear, wearing clothes in a respectful way.
어디를 딘자 아니 간지 미 통나 만통나 저당 아니 지 소소 파탄 데마 파여 봐 제거를 쏘는 난전 라면 주비 아니 초가 나와라야 겐초 타다 드버 제벌 따도 받는 데마 진지랍스 그래서 먼저 게위 초타다 드고나 드고라 게위 초타다 마드나 아니 게위 제버 타다 드베요 말았어 게위 초타다 드벌 때는 제버 아니 타와드 튼진기면 고모 타다 톱투야지 연구라서 이자 게위 초타다 드고나 뒤따도 룽아 있음 바다 데마지 치고 그랬어 그래서 뒤치에 도야게 다 조지겨서든 집이 진질라로 치스 물론 잡대야 드레도스라.
So regardless of whether we are seen by others or not, we want to be always conscientious, which is one of the verses in the Guru Puja. It says, please bless me to be conscientious with respect to the entire collection of virtue. If we want to attain the entire collection of results, that would be contingent upon the complete collection of causes. So we think of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and we ask them to always be conscientious. Please bless me so that I will always be conscientious.
Tebachik Shayores, that the Ingo Rosro, Lungaki, Choba Kandajimba, the Choba the Yada, do said, Zo Semle Rally Gores, Semle Rally Gores, Sem Gunangi, that Sem di, and it Chadam Monsam the dead the Yobaina, and Lungaki Choba di, and Miki Cholan Drogores, Semgi Choba di, Chichamni Chanju Senda, and Ninjon Soba, Kanji, and it pensem the Koni lunch. They were only Zewu Koni Langi, and Lungaki Choba di, gave each other in body, Koshongo Kundi, the Gomba Tires.
For our body and speech to be turning towards a positive or a virtuous direction, that will depend upon the mind. And actually, it needs to be like that. For our physical and verbal behavior to turn towards a virtuous direction, it needs to depend upon the mind. Which means that so long as the mind is mixed up with anger, attachment, and ignorance, for that long, we will turn towards a non-virtuous direction. And conversely, loving kindness and compassion, the mind of enlightenment, altruism, and genuine sense of concern for others, that would be something that would accord with the intention of scriptures.
There's that Sambaya Kariyamedi, Susu Hakuyanza, Nanzuchi, any Chu, Tabachichu, Chu Karinyam, Yamlenchia, the two Samla Payachid. Tian Samla, the Yinjoy Chedo, Chiguyanza, Susu Samnalaya, Karishagiyamedi, Susu Hakuyanza, and any Nangi Samlo than Chi Kunju Mansawach taught. Ra Kanji, any Samlaya, low Mading Chagduna, Karicheva, that Pendo make you Chagras, Susu Magi Chagras, Ra, but Dimavach, Susu Samdi, Pada damage, you want to be on that the Kanakansam Jigores, Ra.
We know our own mind. We know what's happening to us in our own mind. So if we train a mind in the Mahayana Dhamma, then we need to look at our mind and to look at whatever we do, whatever occurs to us. And if we recognize there is a discrepancy between the outer and the inner, which means the way that we behave, but what's happening to us in our mind, for us is an indication that we are not doing something right. So we want to always remain conscientious.
There's a tongue on the same the Namalaya, Chadamon singing the Chitan, go and the Subjigale, Hawjida, Yotan Chojo, the Zawini, the Yomaros, and Kumeva Kares, and I could give a Toma Mevan, Tanda part the Piglia, Comni, Yans a Kotaku Shuch. Chadi, you did Lansang, that Jew Matuna Yang, in the Gia Tolayata, Bevachichin. Then it's all big and the Semlia. Kabdulaya, Piggy, Karsawata, Zanga Ton, Chegoyada, and it's Soba Gongoya Soba. The Sutra, Sobi Yamlen singing the Mena, and it Soba Mena, and it Zundri Young Samari, Zundri Mena, and it Sheriff Young Mari, Sheriff Mena, and it Nimupantu Mari, the Madonna, Dunga Bashila, Negoyaj, Tirendos, draw.
So then we spoke of a mind that is mixed up with anger, attachment, and ignorance. And it's not easy to correct it, to change it. After all, we've been so accustomed to anger, attachment, and ignorance since time without beginning and up until now that our mind has become rigid. It became stiff. So it's not easy at all to change that, to correct our mind, but at least we need to endeavor to do that. We need at least to try harder to put an effort into it. And for that, we sometimes need to be quite strong or forceful with our mind. And we also need patience. Without patience, it's not going to come to pass. Without patience, there would be no joyous effort. And without joyous effort, we will not develop wisdom. And if we develop no wisdom, we will not be able to eliminate our afflictions. And in that case, we will continue to experience suffering.
남기 something in the kingross mother. Sobagongores lounge, Kung Kigo Jusorich. And Zutaji Lomba Mambujilaya, Sobagongores Lana, Kung Kigo Sonanchi, yours. The Zaunini, that Zaunini Maris. Sobagong said, so this Sobati, Karigin Imboima, di Shimbaina, and Sobagong Suchi, Shingres. Sobasing in the zoo, the country Imbolaya. Jariores, Contru Nimbolaya, Jaundita, the Sobogoms Lounge, Pilaya, King Kandach Chevanea, so Lola Mabavi, Deva Makambi, King Kandach Chevanea, non Temataudic, Semlea, Condro Sachin, Sem True Dredgers. O did too much search, did it, Sam and Condro Samaju said, Condro Cagor said, Sobas and Condro Cagores, from Condro Sevena, Sem True Door, Taganji, Susu True Door. And some troops of Jella, and Lo Suru Nivi Tony, and Yulea Tatu Mare, Jebachi tu Mare, Samtan tu Mare, Didi, and Karchin and Nodrech, the Yungoras, Tinza, Sobogongore said it, so the same too much you said. Can I gain Karchevane? Can I same too much you that? Any Norgumaris, Chavan Norgumaris, so Tiredos,
So we mentioned the meditation on patience. So in many places, people have that idea that to meditate on patience means that you will end up being faulted in one way or another, in a sense that there would be some fault that you will accrue on your account if you're going to be patient. But this is not the case at all. This is not the essence of the practice of patience. So in order to meditate on patience, you need to understand what the essence is of the practice of patience. Patience is the antidote to anger. So whatever we occasion to meet, whatever condition arises for us, if it's a condition that we do not wish for, our mind usually becomes agitated or disturbed. And the practice of patience is stopping exactly this, that agitation or disturbance when we come across things that we do not wish for. Otherwise, if we respond with anger, and anger is a disturbance of the mind, then whatever we do motivated by that sense of disturbance, that sense of disturbance means that we're not being impartial, we're actually being partial with respect to that situation. Then if we think about it, if we analyze it, we're not going to be able to do it properly because our mind would be subject to partiality. So think, whatever I am occasioned to meet, I will not allow that to disturb my mind. And if I will not allow it to disturb my mind, then I will protect myself from wrong or mistaken behavior.
Guyores, the Yonia Chebalaya, 2,000 pig, and Chick Sobogombi, pay down, and country Yemik, the sum to Waina, Tenny, that Sobogom to Yachik, Tenny Sobogom to Yachik, control a Genton to Waina, and control Sadochi, Samuel Yachik, Namso Tonpe, and control Masai, have she chigros. Other 2,000 big control singing some of the Genchi Madici, 아니 갑도 대바지래야 지 소보공 거를 상성되잖아 용해 매겨지래도스 완전 제부 간다지네 고 gyūsūṅ tōni jebu tu chūgōr mātō gyūngūndu māsō jebu chūshā jebu chī yō mārvās rā tīnzā sōpa gōmbi kī gyū tsō di ngē la yā khuñchū nyēmī na sōbi pēngyū sāmbi kī lōchōng di yō na ani sōpa gōm tūg rēs.
In order to have good patience, a good meditation on patience, we need to always be mindful of the benefits of being patient and the drawbacks of being impatient. And we can meditate on that in order then to be put on the spot when a certain situation arises. If we recognize the drawbacks of anger and the benefits of patience, we can bring it into a certain situation and thereby put a stop to a disturbed state of mind that is involved with anger. And it is like that with respect to any result that should come about. A result is necessarily preceded by causes and conditions. Right? It requires certain causes and conditions to come to play in order for this result to arise. And the same thing also applies to patience. So if you do not pay any attention to the benefits of patience and the drawbacks of being impatient or anger, if you think that if all of a sudden you will encounter a certain situation and right at that point when you're being put on the spot you'll be able to practice patience, it's probably not it's not likely to happen. First off, you need to think of the drawbacks of anger and the benefits of being patient. And the more you become familiar with that, when you encounter a certain situation where anger is about to arise, then through the force of familiarity, you can remind yourself of the drawbacks of anger and the benefits of patience, and through that, come to put a stop to anger.
아니 지 루그 아니 피글이야 97고 요래 응앙 돈이니 아니 다 아니 cam로 소바 연구 요래 일 상당고 딱 공시명이지 도저지야라 카고 빼어라서 다 깔리 카고 쇼치 이제 다 유쇼 상상러지 간지 딘디지 강아지 담들엔 도면은 아니 피기다 타바드 탐지기 공부 톱세야 돼. 자원이 용무 쓰고 소리 차야 년가도 왔어요.
There are different types of patience, like for example, patience that willingly takes up suffering. And without developing that type of patience, there would be no way, for example, of taking up the practice of prostrations. So when we take up the practice of prostrations, then with our body, we bow down. With our speech, we express certain things. With our mind, we also attend to some states of mind. So without patience, we will not be able to endure the hardship in doing something like that. We will think that that's too hard for me. I better set that practice aside. So if this is the type of attitude that you have in that you don't have the patience to willingly take up suffering, there's been no way that you would be able to attain the state of liberation or the state of enlightenment.
On the door, that conjunction la chalsawanes, to some shebi sangikun. That is Lena Orda, Churton, Sojin, Chojela, Shindle Kunji Tani, Ludabin, Dachan Sense, the Tanjing on the condition of the Chicago Resha. 아니 딘 저데만 로사이 뒤숨도 아니 전시 이제비 산지권다 농도 또비 최다 초주 초 전주사모 바보도 집어넣어 산지기 신기 더 둘군지 탄디니기 루트데 아니 루파도 주도 그게 찬사로스.
Let's look at verse 24. It's quite similar to what we've said so far. It says, to the triple gem, paying physical homage, I prostrate humbly with as many bodies as there are atoms in all the realms. To all the Buddhas gone in the 3 times to the Dhamma and to the Supreme Assembly. I prostrate humbly to the Buddhas who have come and gone in the 3 times, to this scriptural and realized Dhamma, and to the Supreme Assembly of superior Bodhisattvas, with bodies emanated as many as there are particles in the Buddha fields.
단이바 잔주기 샘기비 질라 차자와 세지 사지 로스직 루스라 다 잔주 샘기비 시 아니 다 주다 아니 가서다 시 비기 다 시주디 단지 곤두시로기 아니 꺄브로티 메나 아니 대버지 산지 추세 전 차면서 아니 꺄순주유 곤조숨디 아니 잔주 샘기비 다시 Jadang Shirewas, Rock Shires.
Then we have another section coming up with the first couple of lines in verse 25 that is paying homage to the basis for generating bodhicitta. Let's look at the text. It says, to the basis for generating bodhicitta. Right? Those are the first 2 lines in verse 25. So, what is the basis of generating bodhicitta? Well, we said before, without refuge, there's no way to develop bodhicitta. So in that sense, refuge in the 3 jewels is a basis for bodhicitta.
Ngus telia jarnandos chanju semgi shenando chodenanga dacha salshivi chanju semgi shene semdi jungi gyudi tebachimbi denus udus chiksondo asra.
So we can say that refuge is a basis for bodhicitta, but then when we look at the way that Shantideva expresses that in his text and what is said explicitly by him and by Geta Dhammarinchen, first off it says in verse 25, to the basis of the awakened mind, and to stupas are prostrate. Then Geta Dhammarinchen says the basis of bodhicitta refer to the causes from which that mind is generated, beginning with the 3 Mahayana baskets. So, the word 3, by the way, is not found in the Tibetan text. It just says to the Mahayana baskets, which means that the first basis for the arisal of bodhicitta is the collection of Mahayana scripture.
And dia chanjusem shilaya and chatsevati drogoros ra chanjusem uskibi shizodi and it's a ninji chemboti the chagoros.
The glorious Chandakirti, in his supplement to the Middle Way, began the text in paying homage to great compassionate love. So in paying homage and praising great compassionate love in his supplement to the Middle Way, you can say that is paying homage to the foundation of bodhicitta, to the basis of bodhicitta.
Tenzata ani touching inji zubi pigi dasi chanjusembi lam yamling rumba tembi and tebachimbi denutia the jojachibi denutia telaya chatsena and chanjusembi bishilaya chatsavati then drogoros.
So if you pay homage to the scriptural collection, which are the basis for the trainings of bodhisattvas who train in great compassionate love and bodhicitta, you're paying homage to the basis of bodhicitta.
Lamding Lama Givishi in the Chatsana, Chanjusem Gishilaya Chatsewa. Ani Zewaninji Chembola Chatsana, Chanjusem Gishila Chatsewa. Tebachimi Denu Laya Chatsana, Chanjusem Gishilaya Chatsewa. The town Chelo Rangulaya, and Chanjusem Givi, any Yuriwasta, Kensu, Tuzula, Dengo Goros, drop.
Which means that if you pay homage to the three jewels as basis for the development of bodhicitta, you pay homage to bodhisattvas, to the trainings of bodhisattvas, to the scriptural collection of the Mahayana, you're paying homage to all of the things that constitute the basis for developing bodhicitta. All of them are causes for bodhicitta.
The same TV change with Kansatangas and talk that and it's church with that all the sobari, Lama give scenery to some and the same TV that gain, same TV gain chagras. It's a massive and it subject non dance, can't give it such a changes and it temper cutting changi and it took any gave subject and it dojet and the Varana Sida. And the Chigura Chagu Mirrors over the Tam Jello, and the Tembagadin Jingi, and the Chanjus and 2 years ago, Nick Havachinza, and the Zola Chalsevana, and the Rangulia Chanjus and Kiagi, and it started in the Cavachin Yungruas.
Let's look at what the text says. The basis of bodhicitta refers to the causes from which that mind is generated. So first we have the 3 Mahayana baskets, then the people that become a condition for generating that mind. A place where it is generated, like for example, thinking of the historical Buddha and the places in which the historical Buddha generated bodhicitta, of course, Bodh Gaya and Rajgir and so forth. Those are places of significance in which the Buddha developed bodhicitta in. So we also regard them as the basis for bodhicitta, and we also pay homage to them. Then to the body of the Buddha and so forth, stupas, to these are prostrate. All of them are bases for the arousal of bodhicitta.
Dirita Tan Kenlab Sola Chansawanis. Kenlab Sola Chansawa, Jidan Choden Namla Dasha says, Nam said, So said, Nam said, Zunanaya, Mambuj Duyoras, Tainaya. Aji Kembo del Pevelo Soba, and it's Dinalaya, Duni Mashaba, mix with Karn Sutun, Chatsavi, and it Chatsaya di, Yanko Goba Misavajilia, Sigioras, Ra.
Now the text says that stupas at the end are basis for developing bodhicitta. Now the word for stupa in Tibetan is Tsultrim. The etymological explanation of this word is a basis for offering. So there are many things that could be included within the basis of offerings, right? So it's not just one stupa, it's kind of those bases of offerings. Such as, for example, when we look at the next section, the next section says, to abbots, preceptors, and so forth. So there are bases of offerings, and yet they were singled out in the next section for a particular purpose. We also make homage to them, pay homage to them.
So that you saw much Zoba Chebala Sobi, Kembotan, Asian the Kana Domba Jimbala Sobi, Beventa, Tavi Lam Baby, Tuju Choki, Kunzimbanamaya, Chancelos.
To abbots, preceptors, or masters, and so forth, it says, are prostrate to abbots and likewise to preceptors and to the supreme adepts.
Redadushu Choseti, Joba Hama and Joba Rapati, Torchini, Chima, Joba Yalia, Shubati, Tushu said, Tindichilia, Munzagodas, Ben Kimbi Tapanchi, Rajung Talia, Shubati, Tushu Chok. Said, Chagoras, that indeed soba, and in Jariaris.
Now, when this section says, and to supreme adepts, it refers to those that have relinquished a certain negative mode of conduct and have taken up a positive mode of conduct, leading up to a supreme mode of conduct. This is what the word supreme adept means in this context. Like, for example, when you transition from a life of a householder to a monastic, then you relinquish the signia of the laity, and then you take up the signia of a renunciate. That means that you're taking up a supreme and excellent mode of conduct.
다들 겹순저와디 당한주지 가서 다 양라 듀 혼준저비 돈이 아니 겸주 양라지나 양라 게세 지대 들이다 그렇게 다 교육 아니 살다가 소본 쳐고피어로 소바다도 참 아니 차세와지니 참 제세베지네다 겹순 조고고연자 그러 겹순 조고연자 다 겸주티 숭구여레스.
So in this chapter, as well as the next one, we're going over the 7 limbs of worship. If we add refuge to them, then we can say that we have 8 limbs rather than just 7, right? So 7 limbs together with refuge, so we have 8 limbs. So since the next section that Shantideva mentions is going for refuge, we're now going to begin with verse 26 that has a few points pertaining to refuge.
대라겸주 테니스 직받다 동판이 트레비 텐드 이긴 진지 나비 줘버때 대라 규겸로던 리비 겸로 담부 규겸로니 주심비 군조스 직벌이 트레비 텐드 좀 봐이나 이번 리비 겸로니 랑귤로 토버치비 산제다 주군조 직벌이 트레비 텐드 좀 봐고 텐드 좀 봐스.
Let's look at a section for going for refuge. There's an outline that is missing from this section. Let's look at this. So with going for refuge, there are 2 points. There is the causal refuge and the resultant refuge. So it says, just a second. So it says, the meaning of refuge is to mentally hold the object as the basis for liberation from dangers and suffering, and to express this verbally.
Yes. Dadinamolaya so the Jigpatan Dumali Trevichip and Zimbas Laundi, Jigpati, Nanzuta, Chikaganaji, any Dumalaya, Jipta Yoros, Duma Jipa Yoros, in the Duma Dili Trivigi, Tendo, any Jamdo Chigioris, the G Jamdo. So
looking at this section again, it says, the meaning of refuge is to mentally hold the object as a basis for liberation from dangers and suffering, or you can say from fear and suffering. So what fear are we speaking of? Well, there's the fear, there are different states of fear, such as, for example, the fear of birth, sickness, aging, and death. Right? So when, on the basis of having such states of fear in our mind, we hold on to the objects of refuge. We express our going for refuge motivated by that fear. So with respect to refuge, there are 2 types of refuges. There are causal refuges and resultant refuges.
There are dinang tatsu dita gyukev dan regev seti. Gyukev dan regev seti and kaso da kyamru khurang la ya keba mena ya kyabsun drowa di chikba ina ya kyabsun drobi yul ton keba cheja bichik. Kyabsun drobi yul ya ani kyabsun drowa ko kansa rangi ani chi ani dan gyun tadi bi kansa shengi gyola ya trip simbi kunjo sumla ya kyapsun jona di gyugyola drogores rangi ani chi ani ngokyamruni chene ani chi lam chanzang ge rumba nyamsu lenchin tar kunjo sum kongbang ngun chi bi ani kyayu kunjo sumdi ani jebi kyabres tela ya kyapsun de kyamrudi jekyabs o dinditsi gores.
So this section explains the cause of refuges and the resultant refuges. So in terms of the going for refuge, there is no difference between the causal and the resultant refuges. The difference would be in terms of the objects, the object that you go for refuge to. So you either go for refuge to the causal refuges or you go for refuge to the resultant refuges. So what is the difference between the causal and resultant refuges in terms of the objects themselves? Well, the causal refuges are refuges that were accomplished by someone else. So there's you yourself, and there's another person. The causal refuges are refuges that were accomplished in the continuum of someone else that is not you. The resultant refuges refer to the refuges that you yourself will come to manifest when you practice the steps of the path right from the very beginning, right? So you take up the trainings, you initiate them, you follow them through progressing along the steps of the path until you accomplish your own result. And when you accomplish your own result, you accomplish the three refuges in your own continuum. These are the resultant refuges.
먼저 야부션 던주 뭔가 저거 상기와 되게 좀 샤게도 봤다고디 등원소들이야 균타대바 그 되디 아니 야부션 던주기 아니 람냥스 렘비 카도려야 아니 잔주스는 소바 아니 직태버침이 취 냥스 렌진 까와제비 카도려야 등원소 지금 무슨 소리지 여기로 왔을 때자 안간도도 균타대버진 옆에 아니 깨위 디기 아니 뭐뭐 저거 산지디 안간도려야 아니 잔주기 람땡인기 땜바치진 아니 트라우치진 드라마도 먼저 잡을 수는 된주기 비기래야 아니 깨발렌신이 디 산지 살에 안드샤이스 기요마라스 어딘지 돈다 기겹스라고 그랬어.
So, for example, with respect to the cause of refuges, we have the historical Buddha that started off as the youthful Shuddhana, that at some point became Buddha Shakyamuni, our teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni. In having become a teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, developed certain qualities to his mind, then taught us the Dhamma and so forth, which means that these objects of refuge were first of all accomplished by Buddha Shakyamuni, the person that was first of all youthful Shuddhana, then became Shakyamuni Buddha, which means that when we go for refuge to the teacher and so forth, we go for refuge to the to objects of refuge that were accomplished by others, by another person, like, for example, Buddha Shakyamuni.
아니 콘난신기 산기 공부원도 제연자 딘지 산기 공부디 그런줄이야 란줄이야 토브롱에 산기 콘조 추콘조 겐도 콘조 디디 아니 난준 제비께브레스 규탄디 줄이야 난준 아니 까지 두리치는 저바이나 마음바 제부 아니 산기 공부디 난주 토브롱아치 토브지여바치 인자 딘지 산기 공부디 아니 제비께브레스 텔라야 제바치치니 아니 텔레야 레와주지 텔레 이치치지 엔 단단히 아니 딱까지 둘이 껴만다 아니 잠도 남다 아직 데레스라
Now, with respect to the resultant refuges, we first of all recognize that we have a Buddha nature, in that we currently have different stains, but they are not ingrained within the nature of the mind. They haven't entered into the nature of the mind. The nature of the mind is clear light. And because of that, we can accomplish exactly the same state as Buddha Shakyamuni did. So we can also progress along the steps of the path laid out by Shakyamuni Buddha. We can generate the same qualities and thereby attain the same state as Shakyamuni Buddha, and that would depend upon working hard. So if we put a heart and mind to it, we work hard, then there's something that we can hope for. There's something that we can trust, which is the attainment of our own state of Buddhahood. So we can attain the state of liberation of Buddhahood dependent upon hard work. So in that sense, our refuge would be the Buddha that we will become in the future, the Dhamma that we will develop in our mind stream, the Sangha that we will become in the future. So these are the resultant refuges, right? So the Buddha that we will become, the Dhamma that we will accomplish, and the Sangha that we will become.
Camroti Canadian Josu, Yodan, Camri Yuldan, Yondin Shebatan, Cabaret Shebatan, Kelambatan, Shendu Mama, and she Josun Sultan, Camri Havja the Jebanam, Lamadani Chimbo, Jangolam Sungo Chimusungo, Zevi, Parsin, Lamram Chevali, Shiver Cherry, their martyr souls.
Looking at what Geshe Dhamma says, the meaning of refuge is to mentally hold the object as the basis for liberation from fear, right? So fear and suffering, and to express this verbally. There is causal refuge and resultant refuge. The first is to hold the three jewels that already exist as a basis for liberation from dangers. The second is to hold the Buddha jewel and the Dhamma jewels that one is going to realize in one's own continuum as basis for liberation. The causes for refuge, the refuge objects, and the four ways of going for refuge, which are by knowing the qualities, by knowing the differences, by acceptance, and by not asserting other refuges, as well as the advice of refuge or the precepts of refuge, one can know from the great exposition of the states of the path of the perfection by the great lamas. So particularly here it refers to Lama Tsongkhapa's extensive presentation of the states of the path in Lamrim Chem. Hence, I do not explain them here.
Lamdena Tundambi Kemayi, Kever Kilambi Koa, Shepherd Gabatan, Gabji Namjatan, Kunzuptan, Tundambi Kever Somi, Tebachimi Gulami, Tinji Namshi to Shi Sumbali, Shiver Chawos.
Then it says, the refutation of the mistaken assertion that the truth of the path is never an ultimate refuge, the general presentation of refuge, the difference between ultimate and conventional refuge and so forth, I have already explained in the commentary on the Uttara Tantra, and you can understand it from there. So we will leave the text here for now. Awesome. So we'll leave the text here for now. I'll put the prayers on the screen. I know that we have a couple of questions that people ask, but Geshe said we can take them next week as we will look more closely into the verse for going for refuge. So let's do the dedication verses. You do it.
Lama Sangye June, Jovachi Kamalu Prante, Sadako Parasho, Rumbo Jil, Mate Pana Kiryochi, Kevanya Pale Paya, Gone Kondo Davarasho, 各位师长师，平安给我们路诸位礼，学会希望等最难走。小辈世界法度天主西，
掌心
长根家为天人之中被为工作路公子，就从各位雷蒙度主。阿加索度是共度下根修。Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you, Bashala. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So are we doing it at 12:30 or 1:30?
就是这样。
If we
Well, if we do that, then we could do we have the
they couldn't file the consultation. They do not.
其实感觉家人中看见，其实尽量才结果是。
It's up to you. So yeah. So basically, we have 1 hour.
We have 1 hour.
So
we're doing that 1 hour.
yeah. So you decide what you.
It's nice to do a lot of things. Usually we do. 49
And
days. Yeah. So
全美这个所以全美的天文过是，
we could
阿曼迪巴九了，这个之前。
So Geshe made a Badalam. There is a photo, so we can put the photo and the Badalams together.
We put here. We put there. The screen.
그런 영역입니다. Well, Geshe will be here also, so we can just kind of probably fix it up when Geshe comes.
Okay. And put him coming.
Yes.
And Nelson.
Sure.
Modi is coming. Modi.